Before the advent of modern refrigeration, ancient civilizations faced a constant challenge: how to keep their food from spoiling long enough to make it through harsh winters or extended voyages. In medieval Europe, for instance, salt was so vital for preserving meat that it was often traded as currency. Now picture a society where a single spoiled meal could mean the difference between thriving and barely surviving. This was the reality for countless generations before us, and their innovative solutions have shaped how we eat today. In this video, we'll walk you through 15 diverse food preservation methods, each with its unique benefits and applications. From ancient practices to modern techniques, you'll discover how these methods not only extend the life of your food but also contribute to a more sustainable lifestyle. Stick around to learn how these tried-and-true methods can transform the way you store and enjoy your food. Let's start with canning, a traditional and effective method for preserving food. Canning involves placing food in jars or cans and heating them to a temperature that destroys the microorganisms responsible for spoilage. This heating process also creates a vacuum seal inside the container, keeping air and potential contaminants out, which helps to extend the food's shelf life significantly. The origins of canning trace back to the early 19th century when French chef Nicolas Appert discovered that heating food in sealed containers could prevent spoilage. Initially, this technique was developed to provide preserved food for the military, ensuring that soldiers had access to safe, long-lasting provisions. Over time, canning methods have evolved. Early canning was labor-intensive and often imprecise, but advances in technology and materials have streamlined the process, making it more efficient and accessible for home cooks and commercial producers alike. In contemporary times, canning is widely practiced to preserve a variety of foods, including fruits, vegetables, meats, and sauces. This method allows people to enjoy seasonal produce throughout the year and helps reduce food waste by making it possible to store excess harvests for later use. Properly done, canning ensures that food remains safe and maintains its quality for months or even years. It's a dependable technique for long-term food storage, and its benefits extend to both home kitchens and large-scale food production. Moving on to freezing, this method preserves food by lowering its temperature to a point where microbial activity and enzymatic processes are greatly slowed, thereby preventing spoilage. Freezing is known for its ability to maintain the nutritional value, texture, and flavor of foods, which makes it an invaluable method for long-term food storage. The concept of freezing food began with the use of natural ice. However, the real transformation came in the 20th century with the development of commercial freezing technology. This advancement brought about home freezers and industrial freezing processes that revolutionized food preservation. The ability to freeze large quantities of food efficiently changed how we store and consume food, making it possible to keep a wide variety of products available throughout the year. Today, freezing is a popular method for preserving a diverse range of foods, from fruits and vegetables to meats and prepared meals. It offers the convenience of having a stocked freezer with ready-to-use items and ensures that foods retain their quality over time. To make the most of freezing, it's important to use containers or bags that are specifically designed for freezer storage to prevent freezer burn. Labeling and dating items will help keep track of their storage duration. It's also crucial not to overload the freezer, as proper air circulation is necessary for even freezing. Understanding which foods freeze well, such as fresh fruits, vegetables, and meats, and which ones do not, like certain dairy products or cooked pasta, will help you maximize the effectiveness of your freezer. Now let's explore drying, a method that preserves food by removing moisture, which prevents the growth of bacteria, molds, and yeasts that cause spoilage. Drying can be accomplished through various techniques, including air drying, sun drying, and using food dehydrators. The practice of drying food has been around for thousands of years. Ancient civilizations such as the Egyptians, Chinese, and Native Americans relied on drying techniques to preserve food in times when fresh supplies were not readily available. These early methods were essential for survival, especially in regions with harsh climates or limited access to fresh resources. In modern times, drying remains a relevant and popular method for food preservation. Advances in technology have improved the efficiency and effectiveness of drying processes. For instance, food dehydrators offer controlled environments that ensure consistent drying, while air and sun drying methods are still used, particularly for fruits, herbs, and vegetables. Dried foods are lightweight, compact, and do not require refrigeration, making them ideal for long-term storage and for use in situations like camping and backpacking. Drying provides a reliable way to preserve food. Salting is a time-tested method of food preservation that works by drawing moisture out of food through osmosis. When salt is applied to meat or fish, it creates an environment where bacteria and other microorganisms cannot thrive. The salt effectively dehydrates the food, inhibiting microbial growth and preventing spoilage. This method not only extends the shelf life of the food but also imparts a distinctive flavor. The use of salting dates back thousands of years and has played a crucial role in food preservation throughout history. Ancient civilizations in Egypt, Rome, and China relied on salting to preserve fish and meats. Before refrigeration was invented, salt was so valuable that it was often used as currency. In medieval Europe, salted fish and meats were essential provisions for long voyages and for surviving winter months. This method enabled people to store food for extended periods, which was vital for societies without access to modern preservation technologies. Today, salting remains an important technique in both home kitchens and commercial food production. It is widely used to prepare cured meats such as bacon, ham, and sausages. The process has been refined over time and is often combined with other preservation methods to enhance flavor and longevity. In modern cooking, salting is not only used for preservation but also to enhance and develop flavors, making it a versatile ingredient in both everyday and gourmet dishes. Now, let's discuss smoking. Smoking involves exposing food to smoke from burning wood or other materials, which imparts a distinct flavor while also preserving it. The smoke contains compounds with antimicrobial and antioxidant properties that help inhibit the growth of spoilage-causing microorganisms. Smoking often involves curing the food beforehand, which further extends its shelf life. Different types of wood can be used to create a range of flavors, from hickory to mesquite. Smoking is one of the oldest known methods of food preservation, with evidence of its use dating back to prehistoric times. Early societies discovered that smoke not only added flavor but also acted as a preservative. Indigenous peoples in the Americas, Scandinavia, and other regions relied on smoking to preserve fish and meats. The practice was crucial for survival in environments where fresh food was not always available. Over time, smoking techniques evolved, leading to more sophisticated methods of maintaining and enhancing food quality. In contemporary times, smoking continues to be a popular method for preserving and flavoring foods. Modern smoking techniques include both traditional methods and newer, more controlled processes. Electric and gas smokers provide precise temperature control, making smoking more accessible and consistent. Additionally, smoking is embraced in the culinary world to add complex flavors to a variety of foods, from cheeses to vegetables. The benefits of smoking extend beyond preservation, offering both enhanced taste and aroma. Moving on to pickling, this method involves immersing food in a solution of vinegar or brine, often combined with spices and herbs. The acidic environment created by vinegar or the salty environment of brine prevents the growth of harmful bacteria and molds. Pickling can also involve fermentation, where beneficial bacteria convert sugars into acids, further aiding in preservation. This process not only extends the shelf life of the food but also imparts a unique tangy flavor. Pickling has a rich history that spans various cultures and regions. Ancient Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans used pickling to preserve vegetables, fruits, and meats. Pickled foods were a staple in many diets due to their long shelf life and ability to be stored without refrigeration. In Europe, pickling was essential for preserving vegetables and fruits through the winter months. The tradition of pickling continues to be a cultural and culinary staple in many societies, reflecting its long-standing significance in food preservation. In modern kitchens, pickling has evolved to include a wide variety of foods and flavors, from pickled cucumbers to beets and kimchi. Contemporary pickling recipes allow for creativity and customization. The process is used not only for preservation but also to enhance the flavor and texture of foods. Pickling is also popular in the fermentation movement, valued for its health benefits and ability to create complex tangy flavors. Modern pickling methods often involve experimenting with different spices, herbs, and types of vinegar, blending tradition with innovation in food preservation. Fermentation is a unique method of food preservation that harnesses the power of beneficial bacteria and yeast. These microorganisms work by breaking down sugars and carbohydrates in the food, creating byproducts like lactic acid, alcohol, or carbon dioxide. These byproducts act as natural preservatives, preventing the growth of harmful bacteria while also enhancing flavor. Fermentation is often used to preserve vegetables, dairy, and grains, transforming them into nutrient-rich foods with a longer shelf life. Throughout history, fermentation has been essential for preserving food across many different cultures. Ancient civilizations from China to Eastern Europe relied on fermentation to store their harvests and ensure food supplies through harsh seasons. Foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, and yogurt have long been staples, offering not just preservation but also improved nutrition and digestibility. It was a method of survival for our ancestors, making it all the more important to pass this knowledge to future generations. Today, fermentation is enjoying a resurgence, particularly for its health benefits. Fermented foods are known for their probiotic properties, which promote gut health, boost immunity, and increase nutrient absorption. From kombucha to sourdough, fermentation is being rediscovered as both a method of preservation and a way to create flavorful, healthy foods without synthetic additives. Next up is vacuum sealing, a relatively modern innovation in food preservation. This method works by removing air from a food package, creating a vacuum that drastically slows down the oxidation and spoilage process. Without oxygen, bacteria and mold struggle to survive, making vacuum sealing an excellent option for extending the shelf life of fresh, frozen, and dried foods. By sealing food in airtight bags or containers, it remains fresh for weeks or even months and is especially effective in preventing freezer burn. Vacuum sealing was developed in the 20th century, originally for industrial use, before becoming popular in households in the 1960s. It revolutionized food storage by offering a way to keep perishable items fresh for much longer. Today, it's a go-to method for home cooks and professionals alike, thanks to its versatility in preserving everything from leftovers to bulk groceries. In current practices, vacuum sealing is often combined with freezing or refrigeration for even better results. It's ideal for meal prepping, sous vide cooking, and long-term storage of meats, vegetables, and dry goods. Whether you're saving space in the freezer or preparing meals in advance, vacuum sealing is a simple yet highly effective way to reduce waste and keep food fresh longer. Signal continue to receive the next segment, D, for extended periods while retaining much of its nutritional value and flavor. It continues to be a valuable technique in both home kitchens and commercial food production, highlighting its enduring relevance in our food preservation practices. Now let's dive into sugar preservation, a centuries-old method that uses sugar to prevent spoilage by drawing moisture out of food. By lowering the water activity in fruits and other foods, sugar creates an environment that is inhospitable to bacteria and mold. This technique is most commonly used in making jams, jellies, and syrups, where sugar not only acts as a preservative but also adds sweetness and enhances flavor. Historically, sugar preservation was used across Europe and the Middle East, particularly in the preservation of fruits. During the colonial era, when sugar became more widely available, the technique spread further, allowing households to preserve their harvests for months or even years. In regions without refrigeration, sugary preserves became a vital method for extending the life of seasonal fruits well into the winter months. These days, sugar preservation is still widely practiced both at home and commercially. Making homemade jams and jellies remains a popular way to capture the flavors of seasonal fruits, while commercial producers use sugar to extend the shelf life of syrups and candies. The method continues to offer a simple, delicious, and time-tested solution for food preservation, making it an invaluable tool in any kitchen. Next, let's take a look at pasteurization, a method that revolutionized food safety. Pasteurization involves heating food or liquid, usually dairy products or juices, to a specific temperature for a set period of time. This process kills harmful bacteria and pathogens without significantly altering the taste or nutritional value of the food. By extending the shelf life of perishable items, pasteurization has become a cornerstone of modern food preservation. The process was invented by French scientist Louis Pasteur in the 19th century, originally to prevent wine and beer from spoiling. Pasteur's discovery of how heat could prevent bacterial growth transformed not only the beverage industry but also dairy and other food products. It was a breakthrough that drastically reduced foodborne illnesses, making food much safer to consume and store. Today, pasteurization is widely used across the food industry, especially for milk, juices, and canned foods. Most dairy products undergo pasteurization to ensure safety, and even some meats and eggs are pasteurized to eliminate potential pathogens. This technique remains crucial in food processing, balancing safety and freshness to keep foods free from harmful microbes. Next up is brining, another ancient method of preservation that involves soaking food in a saltwater solution. The process works by drawing moisture out of the food and creating an environment inhospitable to bacteria and other microorganisms. Brining not only preserves food but also enhances its flavor and texture, especially when used for meats and vegetables. Historically, brining has been used for thousands of years, particularly for preserving meats like pork and fish. Before refrigeration, brining was essential for sailors and explorers who needed to store provisions for long voyages. In many cultures, brined foods such as pickles, olives, and sauerkraut were dietary staples, valued for their longevity and flavor. In modern kitchens, brining is a popular technique not just for preservation but for improving the taste and texture of food. It's especially common with poultry and pork, helping to keep meats moist and flavorful during cooking. Whether it's preparing a Thanksgiving turkey or making homemade pickles, brining remains a valuable tool for both preserving food and enhancing its quality. Let's turn to blanching, a preservation technique often used to maintain the color, texture, and nutritional value of vegetables before freezing or drying. Blanching involves briefly boiling vegetables, then quickly plunging them into ice water to stop the cooking process. This technique inactivates enzymes that can cause food to lose its freshness over time, making it an essential step for long-term preservation. Blanching techniques were developed in the early 20th century. As freezing technology improved, it became clear that vegetables kept their flavor, color, and nutrients much better when blanched before being frozen. As food processing and home freezing became more common, blanching emerged as a necessary step to ensure high-quality frozen produce. In today's food preparation, blanching is widely used before freezing vegetables to prevent them from becoming mushy or discolored. It's also helpful in meal prepping, as blanched vegetables can be stored for longer periods while retaining their freshness. Blanching is a simple yet effective method for preserving the quality of food before it is stored or frozen. Let's dive into the next method, chemical preservatives, which have become a cornerstone in modern food preservation. Chemical preservatives work by inhibiting the growth of bacteria, yeasts, molds, and other spoilage agents. Common preservatives include sulfites, nitrates, and benzoates, which can extend the shelf life of food products by months or even years. Historically, the use of chemical preservatives began in earnest during the 19th and 20th centuries, coinciding with the rise of industrialized food production. As people sought ways to preserve food on a large scale and transport it over long distances, chemical preservation became a game-changer. It allowed for the mass distribution of food products without the immediate risk of spoilage, helping to feed growing populations. Today, chemical preservatives are a common ingredient in processed foods like bread, canned goods, and cured meats. While they play a significant role in preventing spoilage and extending shelf life, there's growing awareness and debate over their long-term health effects. Many people now seek to minimize the use of artificial preservatives in favor of natural alternatives, but they remain a critical part of food production for ensuring safety and longevity. Now let's talk about root cellaring, an age-old method that doesn't rely on technology but instead on nature itself. Root cellaring is essentially a form of underground storage where produce can be kept in a cool, humid environment. This natural climate slows the spoiling process and keeps fruits and vegetables fresh for months without electricity.